Penguins second rounder Tanner Howe. When you look at the draft this year, Penguins focused heavily on defense, but one of the forwards that they took early, Tanner Howe, an 18-year-old out of the Regina Pats of the WHL. He signs his 3-year entry-level contract earlier this week before he departs from Penguins development camp. He's an undersized left wing that is going to head back to the WHL this season with the eligibility to elevate to the American Hockey League in the 2025-26 season after his 4th season down there with Regina. Horwat, what are your thoughts on Tanner Howe and the fact that the Penguins already inked him to his 3-year ELC that'll likely, almost definitely, get slid through this season and start next year?
The fact that he was able to pick up a contract that quickly shows how highly the organization thinks of him. Mm-hmm. I don't know too much about him. I don't know too much of the numbers, but he's obviously caught the eye of an organization who was is trying their hardest to build a great prospect pool, is trying to expand their future of young names and young prospects. That the fact that they gave him a contract this quickly shows just how highly they may think of him. Mm-hmm. I don't know where he sits in terms of the Penguins' top 10 or top 20 prospects, however you want to look at it.
We'll do that next week.
Yeah, he might be up there, though. He may be in that list because of this sort of push he's getting. And I mean, not that Yager isn't the Penguins' top prospect, because he is. He doesn't have a deal yet.
He doesn't.
They drafted him last year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, I don't know the semantics or any reasons why a deal may or may not have been signed for certain prospects. Don't understand how any of that works. But for what it's worth, they gave this kid a contract pretty quickly and are probably going to try and, I don't want to say push him to the moon, but get him going in the organization, and should absolutely be a name to now reach everybody's radar who cares about this team in the future.
Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing I've picked up about Tanner Howe, and Jesse Marshall wrote about this in his piece about Howe and Harrison Brunick, that Howe plays much bigger than he is. He's 5'10", about 180 pounds, I think, soaking wet, but he does not play as if he is that small. So I'm intrigued to see what he does this season, because, that Regina team was not good last year. Neither was Harrison Brunick's, Kamloops Blazers, but that Regina team was not good last year after losing Connor Bedard the year prior. So I'm intrigued to see what he's able to do, if he's able to elevate that team back into a playoff position. But as far as him signing his ELC straight out of development camp about 2 weeks after being drafted, it's a good sign, right? Yeah. It's a sign that the organization has a lot of faith in him. They want to get him under the umbrella as quickly as humanly possible, meaning under the umbrella and under contract as quickly as, humanly possible. So I'm intrigued to see how his season plays out in the WHL. And the WHL is going to be a very exciting watch for Penguins fans. I think, as we've noticed over the last couple of seasons, the prospect watching has picked up significantly, simply because I think a lot of people are realizing that the beginning of the end is here for the NHL squad and for this current era of Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. But you look at the WHL next season, will Brayden Yager try to defend his title with Moose Jaw? There's I would say, likely chance he ends up back in Moose Jaw. There's still a possibility that he comes in, lights the world on fire, and is able to get, at the very least, that 9-game sample size at the NHL level. But there is a likely possibility that he ends up back in the WHL with the Moose Jaw Warriors. Harrison Brunick, defensive prospect that was taken in the second round, will be back with the Kamloops Blazers. Tanner Howe will be back with the Regina Pats. So there's a lot of players in the W that are going to be worth watching. And outside of that, a lot of the other prospects, as we'll talk about in a couple of weeks, a lot of the other prospects are going to be in the AHL. So there's really only going to be the WHL and the AHL for the vast majority of Penguins prospects next year. So it's going to be exciting to watch the W next year, even though we were all tuned in to the W a lot this past season because of what Brayden Yager was able to do. And honestly, because of Owen Pickering as well with the Swift Current Broncos and having a good season there and getting them into the playoffs.
Yeah, you're going to be watching the WHL for the prospects, and everyone was tuned in to the AHL last year. Not so much for the future, but to see which guys could have jumped up and helped that year. Now it will be seeing what prospects are down there and seeing what the future may look like. So, yeah, obviously everyone looks at the AHL as the ground of, okay, also you can come up right now if we need the help. But I'd say that's going to be a good facility for seeing what the future looks like. Again, new head coach there that's trying to build that winning culture. It'll have the veterans. There'll be a couple of veteran players for sure. There always is, but the interesting piece, the interesting piece is we'll be watching those prospects. Like if Owen Pickering is there, maybe if Jackson Ivany starts the season there. There's a weird dynamic that might happen with the AHL this year.
Yeah,
we'll see how it all goes. We'll see how it all unfolds. But there will be prospects to see there, not just veterans trying to crack the NHL lineup again.